Shalom, Israel. It's that time again. The I.S.U.P.K. under Commanding General YAHANNA presents the Lord's 57th Annual Passover. That's right, the Lord's 57th Annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. All Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans are commanded to observe the Lord's Passover. This will be the biggest Passover to date. You do not want to miss this. Fresh lamb, fresh wine, and bitter herbs as commanded by the Most High. Only $200 per person ages 17 and up. The biggest event of the year. There is only one Passover, and it's under Commanding General YAHANNA. See you there, Israel. Shalom.
Nobody else there to compare to. Train for war, men of war, and warlike apparel. Prefer our leaders, can't get between us. Watch where you stepping.
Most High Christ, shalom. Clap it up. Shalom, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushua. I'm precinct officer of 1,000 bars over call, filling in for General Mahayaman until he gets in. Aslakish, Yahweh Shamar Lathan by Hashem Yahushua. Again, I'm precinct officer bars off, for the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, starting out in 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA, where we teach Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans a true biblical history according to the Bible. According to the Bible, Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans are the chosen children of God. You understand? Spread it throughout all the 4 corners of the earth. If you are a Black, Latino, Native American, as a so-called First Nation man, you belong to the Most High God, man. You understand? And that is the origin. These laws are the origin of our history. You understand? Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, we have today, let's just say we have today a lack of understanding. When it comes, I don't say a lack of understanding, strictly talking about the Bible. And the Bible, unlike the Christian church, when it's taught in its proper form, it gives you the navigation to how to live your life as God's chosen people. You understand? The Bible isn't for everyone. This is like a misnomer. 9 times out of 10, if you've been listening to the I.S.U.P.K, we teach, that Christianity is, the house of Satan. You understand? It is confusion. It is not the true understanding of the Bible. Also, teaching through other religions that, every religion takes from the Bible. Every religion likes to get his own remix of the Bible. And everybody want to say that they're chosen God, people, they're God's chosen people. But that's not according to the scriptures here. You understand? Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, the Israelites, are God's people. You understand? Can't refute it. If you choose to refute it, just be able to back up what you think you believe in. You understand? If your philosophy, your religion, you feel as though holds water, we are open for any kind of discussions. You understand? Let's look at, we'll start off with just looking at, what's the criteria, of a religious man, any religion you pick. You understand? There are so many religions today. There are so many philosophies. I'm telling you, they come out with a new one every year. It seems like to me, but it does not hold God's, the Most High power's true knowledge. You understand? The knowledge of man is, compared to God is vain, nothing. You understand? The Lord knows, the Most High God, Yahweh, has made his decree and made his choice on who's to serve him. You understand? Let's get Deuteronomy 7:6, Baba Kashar. Deuteronomy 7:6. It will tell us that, the Most High is preferring a certain people. Like I said, man, we were just discussing a little bit earlier about these so-called Jewish people. These so-called Jewish people, man, they are not God's favorite people. You can just look at them and tell that, these God favorite, you need to tell me these people, I see these Ashkenazis, these so-called Jewish people, and every time I see them, they look disgusting. You know, they smell and all kinds of things. And these are God's chosen people. You understand? I don't ever see these people suffering from curses, unlike blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. I don't see them under these curses in Deuteronomy 28. You understand? I don't understand where or how could these people self-proclaim themselves as God's chosen people. And of course, that's because the ignorance of the education of the Bible taught throughout the world. The Bible is not wrong, it's how it's being taught, which makes it to other people seem as something's wrong or there's some type of contradiction. There's no way, shape, or form that there is contradiction in the Bible. You understand? Deuteronomy 7:6. Bible control, whoever that got it, can read it.
Okay. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6.
Mm-hmm.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
For thou art an holy people. What does the word holy mean? What's the word holy mean, young man? Go ahead.
The word holy means separate or set apart.
Yeah, separate apart, man. Understand? They ain't what they teach in the church. It's small things like this that can throw somebody off the true knowledge of God. Because when I grew up, I didn't understand. I didn't know what holy meant. I just, Holy Ghost was the only thing I heard about growing up in church, the Holy Ghost. And then when I seen people, catch the Holy Ghost, it freaked me out. So I didn't want to have to deal with nothing holy. As a child, I said, if that's the Holy Ghost or whatever, I don't want nothing to do with it. So I can understand why, majority of us, again, without its proper context and its proper teachings on why we would get even just something like this mixed up, not knowing that it means to be separate, set apart. You understand? Knowing that these people are supposed to be set apart, it'll change the whole direction. Like, oh, wow, holy means to be separate, set apart. Oh, wow, okay, this is what makes something holy. What makes something special. What's making something special is letting it be known that it is set apart, holy. Go ahead.
Okay. The Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
Again, there go that word special, reiterating. That's the Most High, man. The Most High is a black man, so just like your father, he gonna tell you twice. I ain't gonna tell you 3 times. I ain't about to tell you 3 times. I'm gonna tell you twice. You understand? That's what the Lord doing. Like, you are special, you set apart. You understand? And you're special. The Lord is, again, he's not the author of confusion. He's not going to say something and you not understand what he's talking about. It's just the Christian pastor doesn't know what he's talking about. He does not understand the spirit of the Most High. So when he's trying to teach what the Most High is talking about, the spirit doesn't understand. So again, religion is always going to be, the stumbling block upon Israel, because we naturally, as blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, are spiritual people. So when we come from the knowledge of the Bible, or we come from just, again, trying to find the Most High God, man, we just want to feel like special. We want to feel special. And that's what the Lord is saying. The Lord was, again, recognizing that these people who we talk about, they're set apart. These people are special. 2026, blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, the Lord knew that we was going to feel, the oppression from, the heaviness of these oppressors. You see what's going on with ICE. You understand? Blacks suffering, since the beginning of sliced bread. You understand? Like, the Lord knew that he was going to have to let us know that we were set apart and we're special, because the white man, the so-called oppressor, and well, not the so-called, he is the oppressor, but the devil, according to the Bible, the so-called white man will make you feel less than here in America. You understand? These other nations will make you not feel special. You understand? So the Lord is, again, letting us know from his mouth that we are special. Not only we're special, we're set apart. So this is something that Christian pastor is not teaching his congregation. I was scrolling through Instagram today, and all they care about, they got goddamn tambourine section now in Christian church. Christian church is a circus, man. You understand? It's a circuit and it's a disrespect. It's distasteful. Every time I don't know what's going on in Christian church. Like I said today, they beat tambourines like drums now. I remember it used to be like one pap, like, you know, probably 1-2 paps. Now they got a whole section where they just have their own way of beating tambourines to keep up with the drummer, because the drummer is, you know, having the ball. There's nothing wrong with drumming, but I'm just saying he's having the ball. He's performing. That's what they're doing, performing there in the church. You understand? Not teaching that we're separate. It's a shit show, for lack of better terms. You understand? But the Lord said, we're special. You understand? This is something that we have to consume and understand, you understand, and be able to not just accept it, but be able to understand why the Lord separated us, why the Lord, you know, chose us above all people. Why do we go do this? You know what I'm saying? And the Lord is always going to tell us why, because again, Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, we are in slavery, regardless of how we looking at it. Your job pays you a check. It's a slavery. That's it. We call them slavery. We don't call them jobs because, again, we are not ruling here today. You know what I'm saying? This isn't our rest. But the Lord wants us to know we special. Go ahead, read on.
Yes, sir. Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
This is the part right here. This is the controversy. This is why I.S.U.P.K is undefeated, man. The controversy. We willing to go to the levels that nobody willing to go. Now, during camp, you know, camp is when we go out and teach on the streets, right? But this is a school where we do education, we learn in House of Books. You understand? This is the school where we teach. But when we at camp, this right here is the controversy. This is where it gets real fiery, right? You know what I'm saying? We telling people, hey, God said you above everybody here on the earth. And you understand how much this hurts for Black people to hear? It hurts for Black people to hear that we're better than everybody. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense why we can't accept it. And the only thing that I've come to realize is like it's only because of religion why we feel like we have to be equal with everybody. We have to be equal with everybody because religion teaches us to love thy neighbor and does not teach it the right way, not knowing that your neighbor is of your bloodline. That's your neighbor. You understand? Flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood. Your neighbor, just because, you know, they're sitting next to you in church, that's not a neighbor. It's a regular person. Somebody sitting next to you. You understand? But the church tells you to love your neighbor. What they say, look at the neighbor, do I love you? The church is just so soft. I wanted to say another word, but you know, the church is just weakens. Again, it weakens not just Black, Latinos, Native Americans. Well, us as a whole, it weakens. You understand? It takes the spirit out of Israel. You understand? It'll snatch the spirit out of Israel because Israel, again, are a special people above everybody else. You know what I'm saying? To be above everybody else, you gotta have some type of backbone. Right. Christian church has snatched a backbone out you, I buy, and have you subservient to a God that don't exist. You understand? Like, we here to be controversial. We stand up for the Most High and the Most High in Christ, man. We go to war about this. You know, that's why Christians don't like the battles. That's why Muslims don't like the battles. That's why atheists don't understand why they can't battle. This is the reason why we undefeated, because the Lord, you understand, under has kept the I.S.U.P.K and its teachings, you know, original. You understand? You cannot erase the truth from the earth, oppressor, you devil. You cannot erase who God's chosen people are. You understand? You cannot get rid of who the Lord prefers. And the Lord said that we're supposed to be above everybody. But this is controversial. You understand? We tell black people you above everybody else, not because we on some black man stuff. You know, this is not the conscious community. We telling you as a black, Latino, Native American man, woman, and child that you above everybody because the Most High said so. Right. You understand? It's not because we looking at each other and say, oh yeah, because we the melanin and this, that, and the third, or another bull crap philosophy that's been going on, especially here in Philadelphia, the conscious community. You understand? The whole melanin controversial, not even gonna say controversy, but the argument of having melanin. First of all, idiots, everybody has melanin except for the white man. I'm saying every race has melanin in them. You understand? The white man has a deficiency. He's inferior compared to the black man. That's why he couldn't have been a slave. How can you be a slave and you can't? The sun don't even like you. You understand? How can you have been those people in Egypt? You understand? When the sun don't agree with your skin, you know, how could you be God's chosen people in the land of Israel? And again, the sun is against you, man. You understand? That melanin argument does not mean, I like to say it all the time, all skin folk is not kinfolk. Just because you're brown, just because you have melanin does not mean you are who these people that the Most High are talking about in Deuteronomy 7:6. You understand? These are a bloodline. You understand? They said, matter of fact, Bob, we have the book of Babylon with Babylon Timbuktu around. Okay, if you could, Baba Kashar, give me the where it says the progenitor of Ham, the water, like this whole. Yeah, because everyone is dark skinned, or you have I hear people, let's please, Baba Kashar. Like I've heard people, like to associate themselves again with dark skinned people. And this is like, you taking the love away from your people. When you love another nation, it takes away love from your people. Why not give it to your people? Because only reason why is because we don't really understand who we are. We don't understand who we are. We are not related by color. That's an idiot conversation to have. You know what I'm saying? Black people, we are, it's said, that we come the colors of, earth tone colors. The more you dig deep into the earth, you see different shades of brown. That's not because you're light skinned, they say, your family must have been raped by a white man. That's just, I'm sorry, man. People need to stop smoking weed. Leave the weed alone. Stop getting high. Stop teaching yourself. Stop thinking, you came up with some type of philosophy because you're in your home, you're in your basement. Some things you made add together. 3 + 3 is 11. The bull crap philosophies need to stop. This weed is kicking our ass, man. These drugs are destroying us. You understand? It takes us further and further away from what the Lord wants. We have to understand who is operating these accessible things, you understand, to get us to think a certain kind of way. Because the thought of thinking that because someone is brown, they're related to you, is logically, it does not make sense. You understand? You have it, Ibad? Go ahead, read.
Come. This is the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, page 213. Ham, the youngest son of Noah.
Ham was the youngest son of Noah, man. Noah was, the restart of the world. You understand? Noah is where the Lord flooded the world. You understand? Flooded the world. Why did the Most High flood the world? Because we were mixing with other nations. You understand? This is the reason why it's a confusion. The Lord is not with the confusion. So with that being said, while we were mixing with other nations, the Lord wanted to get rid of it. Because what happens? We have arguments about, because a person is dark skinned and like me, they're related to me. You take another nation and mix it with another nation, which is unlawful in the book of Leviticus, that we ain't supposed to mix with these other nations, but it leads us to confusion. Because how are we going to be able to tell and show our people and know our people unless what? You do things traditionally according to the Bible. They say, hey, the pedigree of my flock is men. You know, men have always been, you know, the face, or better yet, let's just say you trace yourself. You know what I'm saying? They say you find out who you are through your father, which is another stupid conversation people like to have. Oh, well, the mother is listen, we understand here in Israelite school, UPK, how important the Black, Latino, Native American woman is. We the only ones that teach how important the Black, Latino, Native American woman is. You understand? It's only outside where they'll make us seem like our women are just whores and our women are just loud and not listening. I don't see that. You understand? Not in the I.S.U.P.K, man. You understand? Outside these gates, they paint pictures of us. You understand? And we know, again, how important the Black woman is. But you judge your house by your father. It's the reason why traditionally, when you get married, a woman takes on the man's name. You understand? Because now she is a part of that house. She is a part of that man. That is under that man's authority. You understand? It's a reason why traditionally your children gets the man's last name. You understand? These are not because of coincidences. It's because it's how you trace your bloodline. You understand? You trace your bloodline through your father. You understand? And that takes out a lot of confusion. I know, again, we're here in Philadelphia specifically, but throughout the world, we have all kind of instances where, you know, birth may happen. Mother may give the last name to the son or daughter, whoever, and, you know, the father isn't in the picture. It happens like that. You know why? Because we are suffering from these curses. You know what I'm saying? These identity crises, us not being able to be at one and not understanding we special. We just doing things because, you know, the oppressor has us divided amongst each other. You know what I'm saying? Black, Latino, Native Americans, we are one. You understand? We are together. We are one family. And who is the man of this family? The Most High God. You understand? That is our father. That's how we trace who we are. That's how we figure out, you understand, our pedigree. You understand? Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans belong to the Most High God. That's what we just read in Deuteronomy 7:6. That the Lord said he's separate. Lord put us in a tuck. These gonna be my people right here. And they're gonna be above everybody. Why? Because they are my children. You understand? That's how our father rolls. You understand? But again, the mother is important too, because why? They the ones that they bring our priests. You understand? Christ was Christ's mother. You understand? Mary was a Haitian woman. You understand? So we know the importance of it. Without the women, we don't get these priests at all. We don't get the kings at all. You understand? So as far as these other nations, let them do that. Their women are just, they're useful for taking out, you know, Lord allow, you know, when YAHANNA comes back, they're made for service. That's it. You understand? That's all they're good for. They ain't made for nothing like a Black, Latino, Native American woman. They can't be compared. You understand? They're above, just like the Black man, Latino, Native American man, above every other nation too as well. You understand? Ain't nothing better than a Black woman at all. So, but we know, again, as far as us, you know, like having these arguments where we try to take the importance out of Israel. That's all it is. They always trying to take the significance of the Most High out of Israel. They'll like to say the colors. The colors. Oh, because you dark skinned, you know, you're related. You're African. You know, you're this. You're that. No, we know here in the I.S.U.P.K. again who we are according to the Bible. Continue on reading, Ibad.
Okay. Born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood, he became the progenitor of the dark races.
See, he became the progenitor. Who is the progenitor? The father, again, of the dark races. We have other dark-skinned people in this world, man. That does not mean that Black people should associate themselves with that. That does not make you related. Because you are dark-skinned, because you're mid-skin, because you're light-skin, whatever you want to call it, that does not mean that you are the same people. This is an argument that's been going on, a senseless argument. Again, I don't understand why this is a thing still. But this has nothing to do with the relations of Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. You understand? What has to do with us? How do we know that we're together? Deuteronomy 7:6. You understand? The Lord said that we are separate and we're holy. Those people he was talking about were the children of Israel. You understand? Will be the children of Israel in a sense. Talking to Moses. You understand? Saying, hey, listen, these people are different. You understand? But he said, what? Ham became the progenitor. Ham is who? According to the Bible. Ham is. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna keep going, sir.
Please.
He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes.
See, and that's the part right there. That's the kaboom, right? That's the part where people don't. They would read, but then when it gets to the part of the meat of the whole point, it's nah. I can't go with that. It clearly just said that Ham was the progenitor of the dark races, but not the Negroes. So who are we talking about here? What are we talking about? You understand? It's some things are so logical that it is unbelievable. It's the Lord lets us know what he wants us to let us know. And sometimes the things he lets us know is right in front of our face. Right. And we just want to be so, like, we just have the desire to be so spiritual. Again, Black, Latinos, and Native Americans are naturally spiritual, but we have the desire to make everything so abstract when it's basic. This is basic knowledge, a basic understanding, a clear difference. You understand? This is something you can teach a child. Let's get back to Deuteronomy 7:6. So all that colorism, man, please stop the give it a rest. I don't understand why it's still a thing. You understand? We Black, Latino, and Native American, man, you come color like the tone of the earth, man. You dig deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper to the earth. You do see all different kinds of tones, but you know why people don't understand that? Because they never seen dirt. I guess they never seen dirt. But again, the Lord he tells us like this and gives us these metaphors and these dark sayings, because again, if everybody was to understand this Bible, then they will realize who God's chosen people are. But the Lord don't want everybody to know. The Lord don't want everybody to know this Bible. Anybody outside of the Negroes, not Ham, because why? Ham he's a different race. Remember that. Ham is he's a progenitor of dark races, but not the Negroes. The Lord made this for the Negroes. You understand? The Lord chose the Negroes, Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. Continue on Deuteronomy 7:6, Bubba y'all.
Yes, sir. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6. Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Again, above all people, upon all people on the face of the earth. So again, this is the controversy right here. This is where we tell black man, yo, you above everybody. Not just you above everybody, but now you're above everybody that's on the earth. Why argue with that? How can you argue with that? Why? Because religion teaches us that whoever you are acceptable. That's the reason why Dylan Roof shot up the church. You know what I'm saying? Because you tell Dylan Roof that's your neighbor. You understand? You'll tell Muhammad, you'll tell a brother, Mufasa is your brother when he's in love with children. You understand? Because they accepting people just because, those other purple cats, because of their ignorance to the Bible, they allowed a Hamite into their congregation. You understand? And what happened when that Hamite got into that conversation, man? That congregation, Salagia. You remember the story about? Mm-hmm. What happened? What happened in that time?
Yes, sir. I believe her name was Joy Morgan.
Joy Morgan.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
She was unalived.
She was unalived. You know, she was unalived because why? Ham, which is the progenitor of the dark races, was in the congregation with the Negroes. Oh, because we can't tell color difference, we ain't gonna tell. We ain't gonna know that this heathen. We allow the heathen in because we look at color as a affiliation. You understand? Joy Morgan was unalived because of the ignorance of color and because the ignorance of knowing who we are according to the Bible, man. You understand? These are things that, again, have to be aware of, you know, at the gates, because at the gate, what is a gate made for? Protection, you know, lead the flock, protect the flock. That is the ordinance and the nature, should be the nature of every leader, is to lead the flock, protect the flock. You understand? That's what Christ did. That's what all the priests and prophets did. You understand? But that'll let you know right there that is not of the Most High God. You understand? If you can't protect your flock, then what does that mean? You know, that's an outside. That's a superpower of Israel. You understand? That is a superpower of Israel. That'll let you know right there. If they can't do that, then they not God's chosen people. You know, that's why the Jewish man can't be God's chosen people, because he does not protect the flock, does not feed the flock. He robs the people. He kills the people. He murders the people. You understand? Sacrifices the people. And these can't be God's chosen people, because we have too many instances, again, where give me where it says the Jews are, you know, the synagogues of Satan, you know, Baba Shaw, like that lets us know right there that these cannot be God's chosen people. Because why? What are they doing? What are they doing in these organizations and these hierarchies? You know, the banks, the diamond district, you know, the music industry, the media. They manipulate the people. They don't lead the flock. They don't protect the flock. You understand? They don't teach people that the Most High God prefers and look at Israel as above all people. They don't do that. You understand? This takes away from what them self-proclaiming that they are God's chosen people. But in the Bible, the Lord says those people, which we about to read right now. Go ahead, Ibot.
Yes, sir. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 3 and verse 9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan.
The synagogue of Satan, man, where they worship Satan. You understand? These satanic people who drank the blood of human beings, you understand? And these satanic rituals that they practice throughout media, throughout, you know, their culture, throughout their religion, you understand, will be under the house of Satan. You understand? Will be under the control of Satan. The house, again, what is a house? A house is a family. These people will be a family that worships Satan. Go ahead, Ibot.
Which say they are Jews.
Which say they are Jews. 2026. We see who calls themselves Jews. We see today that the Jewish man calls himself the children of God, the favored children of God. And, you know, and again, when you dive deeper into your on your free will, of course, you dive deeper into the things that entertain America. You know, again, I mentioned the media, I mentioned, you know, the Hollywood and things like that. Those are operated by Jewish people. You understand? The music, you understand? A lot of these influences that we have in America, everybody wants to live like in America. I don't get it. They don't understand. Like, you know, it's like to the outside world, America is like a stage. You understand? It's a stage, it's a show. You understand? But they don't actually understand that this show is being ran by the house of Satan. It's entertaining. You know, that's why a lot of these immigrants, you know, like to flee to America, chasing the American dream, when here we know it is a nightmare. You understand? Like, this is not a place for Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. You understand? This is a place that oppresses the Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. But this house of Satan is what's controlling America. When we look again, the influences that we have, you know, a major influences, as much as we know in here that we don't rely on the teachings of America, but we watch and we see and we are able to prove that, again, we are Israelites according to this Bible because of the things that we see. But I was about to say the internet, but you know, just media in general controls the thought process of Americans, controls the influence of, you know, other nations and seeing how Americans are, how to be an American is. Understand? It is nothing glory to the Most High at all. Understand? But these people, again, are the house of Satan. These people that run America, that runs the banks, that runs the diamond industry, the music industry, the entertainment industry, everything that America is about is ran through the Jewish man. Even when it goes to the government, you know, you got the Senate, you have all the, you know, Republicans, the Democrats, all that is ran by these people. Go ahead, Abba, continue.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Salakia too, if I may, make sure you get your groups in the chat. Make sure you get your questions in, you know, understand? So when General Mahayaman comes here, we can get rocking and rolling. All right, Bob, we make sure we get the questions pinned for whoever asking the questions and make sure that, you know, General Mahayaman gets to them. Salakia, continue on, Bob.
Which say they are Jews and are not.
See, which say they are Jews and they're not. You know what I'm saying? Which say they are Jews and they are not. And who's been calling themselves Jews? Black people haven't been calling. Go ahead.
All right, question. I try to pay attention, and y'all may pay attention more than me. Is it any other group of people out here calling themselves Jews or saying descendants of Judah? Of course, besides the brothers here in the States and then those people, did y'all see any other group? Because I only see those two, but I didn't want to be ignorant. Maybe somebody else is.
What groups were you referring to?
Well, you know, the brothers here that woke up to being Israelites, and then we got those people over in Israel. I don't see any other people calling themselves Jews.
Oh, yeah, no.
That's the only two, right?
That's only two. There's only two people who call themselves the children of God. You understand? Out of the whole world, you know, only two people, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's so spiritual because these were the same two that were fighting in the womb. So again, it's when we realize and being taught the proper way, everything is like, this is like the perfect shuffle. You ever see somebody, you play a game, you get the perfect shuffle, you be like, yeah, you know, we're gonna keep him shuffling. You know what I mean? You know, the game turn out nice when you get a clean shuffle. Everything that's being taught in this Bible, when we see it and we ask those great questions and we realize, like, you know what, there are only two people who call themselves Jews. And then you say, hey, you know what? I was taught that Esau and Jacob was fighting in the womb. So these two have been fighting for a position for the longest. And that's where it's spiritual. Because now we understand, you know what? What's happening now is what happened before. You know, and that's the Most High and God, you know, like knowing, like, you know, again, the knowledge of, you know, the Bible, knowing that you can't get rid of it. You can't get rid of it. You can't taint it. You can try to taint it. You can, you know, you got the Christian church, you have Muslims, you have all these religions and stuff, but you cannot get rid of the truth. You understand? And only understanding the truth is if the Most High allows you, and that's only for Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. But you know what? The so-called Jew, right? He calls himself a Jew. He knows that he's not a Jew. Esau knew what? Esau knew he gave away his birthright. He knew what he was doing. And what happened after that? You know, it's downhill from there. You understand? It's like Esau spiritually trying to, you know, he like made the biggest, like he got the biggest regret going on right now. And that's because he's this house of Satan. That's the reason why. That's the reason why we still fighting today. You understand? That's the reason why we was fighting in the womb, and we're gonna fight today because Esau hates you, Black, Latino, Native American man and woman. Esau regrets, you know what I'm saying? Esau wants what you have. You know what I'm saying? Esau wants your birthright. Esau wants to be you. Esau, that was his whole thing. You know what I'm saying? But paraphrasing, the Lord said, you know, Jacob getting the best of Esau in the womb, man, tearing him up. You know what I'm saying? Tearing him up so much that, you know, he came out the womb. Jacob got his leg. Like, hey, come here, child, bring it back. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
I know how to say Esau came out first. If you saying that Jacob was tearing him up, he must have been running out. He must have been running to get out of that womb. He get beat down, and then him being reared all over. He might have been all blood. You know how they be. When you put hands up on him, he done turned red all over.
Beat him up in the womb, put a bruise on him. You understand? Esau trying to get away from the strength of Jacob. You know what I'm saying? That's what Esau is trying to do now. He's trying to get away from Christ coming back. He's trying to go to war with the Most High God. Esau gonna try to fight. You understand? Knowing he gonna lose. Like, bye. That's the pride of this oppressor, man. You understand? Wanting to fight and knowing he gonna lose. Hey, man, listen. Some people say, hey, you fight. You know what I'm saying? That gives you respect. At a certain point, you understand? What are you fighting for? Esau, what you fighting for? You know, you're not gaining anything out of it. But like you said though, Jacob tearing him up in the womb, man. Try to bring him back in. Don't run from this ass whooping. You gonna catch all this. You understand? You gonna catch all this. And Esau probably hated him from then. Since then, Esau, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna deal with you another way. You know, when we come back, I'm gonna make sure that you get dealt with the right way. You understand? Now we oppressed because of an ass whooping. But you know what? Most High in Christ, that we still here today, still living up these traditions, you understand? Still giving up, you know, what the Most High in Christ wanted. And what did he want us for us to know? That we are above all people. You understand? And when we realize that, we teach and know that, you understand? So I get, sir, Officer Abba, you want to play? Khan, sir. Shalom, Lord Christ, sir. Like knowing that, you know, we are the people here in the Bible that the Lord prefers and wants us to be above everybody. It gives us the strength. It gives us that same strength Jacob had. You understand? It gives us that same strength Jacob had. You understand? That's the same strength in this. It's in every Black, Latino, Native American man, woman, and child, man. We don't give up. Don't give up. You understand? Fight the good fight. You understand? Fight the worthy fight. You understand? Fight ourselves. How do we fight against America? How do we fight against Esau? We don't advocate no violence. You don't put your hands on people. That's what Black Panthers thought that they could do. And, you know, all these failed experiments of black power and stuff. Keep your hands to your goddamn self. All right? Not telling you to put your hands on white people. What I'm telling you is how the way you fight, you stop living like an American. You understand? Right. That's the way we fight spiritually. Understand this is a spiritual warfare. This isn't carnal. You understand? There ain't no gun that's gonna kill the white man when he got army. He has the greatest army in the world. You understand? The only way we fight is spiritually. Again, given the authority that Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans have, that we have from the Most High in Christ, given the authority that we got, we are the ones that's supposed to rule the earth. You understand? We supposed to be the ones governing the earth. We're the ones that's supposed to be taking care of people. There's nobody else that can take care of. You see what's happening with this man. He isn't taking care of anybody. You understand? He destroys and conquers wherever he goes. And that's because he is the house of Satan. This is exactly who we're talking about, man. You understand? Satan is an angel who serves the Most High. And even still, him being the house of Satan, it still shows you the hierarchy. If Satan, you work for the Most High. Why be the man that operates everything? You understand? Like the Lord tells Satan what to do. You know what I'm saying? No, Satan reports to the Most High. So who's the powers in Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans? You understand? But again, these are things that religion is not teaching us, and that's a big big thing of us, man. You understand that we have going on. That's a big thing that we have going on. That is a very, 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 like, it's like a drug, man. It's a drug. Religion is a drug. I've never seen so many Muslims this year. Like, listen, this Islam has gotten so popular over the years. You understand? It's destroying our people, because why would another nation consider you first? You understand? The Arab man does not consider you first. You understand? The Arab man don't give a damn about you. You understand? And with that being said, I'm gonna pass the class off to precinct officer. Bye.
All right, what's going on, everyone? We got questions. We have questions online. All right, as everyone knows, I'm Police Officer 5000 Abun, representing the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Since 1969, we've been teaching the truth that all so-called Negroes, Latinos, First Nations, Native Americans, etc., are the Israelites. All right, and are only the Israelites. The so-called European, the Caucasian, calling himself a Jew is not a Jew. And right now, you have three of the Abrahamic religions essentially battling it out, right, for supremacy in the Middle East, for supremacy in the chosen land and the most choice land on the earth. Every religion believes they have the claim and the stake to that land, and thereby every race, every ethnicity, right, in some way, shape, form, or fashion, the main ones believe that they have a claim to the land. Even the so-called Chinese man, the Chinese man wants that land for what? For oil, because all of the riches, the blessings that land has received, the weather, even the climate itself. There's only a few places on earth that have the climate that a part of the Middle East has, the Mediterranean climate. If you could Google that for me real quick. Like, this is the fight of all fights that's happening right now here for the Middle East. And it's a winner-take-all event. And like I said previously, every single religion believes that they have the stake and they have the claim to it. The claim to that land is racial. It has nothing to do with what you believe in on this earth. It has to do with who your father is. And the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were promised that land. Give me that scripture if you could, Barzal, when the Lord blessed Abraham. When the Lord gave Abraham that land, where the covenant started. So there was a contract or an agreement, so you can understand today, made between the Israelites. Who are the Israelites? Again, the people that descend from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The people who are today defined as the Negroes, the Latinos, and the Native Americans, the indigenous peoples of this land here in America. Those people were given the land from the Mediterranean over into Pakistan and Afghanistan, properly known as, the Middle East. All right? You have that for me? Just read a definition on the Mediterranean climate for me.
Yes, sir. A Mediterranean climate features hot, dry summers and mild, rainy winters.
Hot, dry summers and mild, rainy winters. There's only a few places on the earth that have this climate. If you could get a map of regions with the Mediterranean climate, that would help out this explanation. What I'm beginning to help you understand is that this is the choicest land on the earth. There's a few other places on the earth that have this climate. Another place is California, and you can search in your cell phones, your smartphone, right, how much real estate is in California. It's ridiculous, and there's a reason for that. One, there's a lot of rich people there. Two, and the main reason is that there's a lot of rich people there is because of the weather. The weather there is beautiful, and it is around the same temperature year round in most of the state. And in one state, you can go skiing one day and then go down to the beach in the same day, all in the same day. And Israel, or the Middle East, has a similar climate. Iran is an example of that. You can go, skiing in the mountains, or go snowball fight in the mountains, come down the mountains over down to the Strait of Hormuz that they're fighting over, and go swimming if you want. Not right now, but if you wanted to, in a new day that's coming. And so that there, can they see it on the screen? I'll put it on the screen. Yeah. So that there's a map of areas with the Mediterranean climate. As you can see, there's only small portions of the planet that have that climate. It's mostly on the western parts of the continents. You can see there, North America, South America. It's both of it's on the western part. South Africa is one of the South Africa, really, in Australia, is one of the rare ones in that it has it on its southern coast. But with most of these continents, if you can notice, it's either on the south or the western portions of these continents. And this land, you can just Google it. The land in any one of these places is the most sought after land on the planet Earth. What are those vacation spots they love? I'm trying to think of it. I think it's Mykonos. There's one, there's Ibiza, etc. Go ahead, Barzal. Turks and Caicos. I think that's the Caribbean. Yeah, it's Caribbean. It's still nice. What I'm saying is that this land, of all the land on the planet, this land routinely is land that offers the highest value, real estate, etc. Barzal, do you have the scripture? Read it to me.
It's the book of Genesis, chapter 24, verse 1. And Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. Verse 2, and Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house that ruled over all that he had, put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven, and the God of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell, but thou shalt go unto my country and to my kindred.
Can you give me let's go to Genesis 12 and 7. Let's go to that one. But this is the land that the Lord gave Abraham and thereby gave to Isaac. Through Isaac, gave Jacob. That land is today known as the Middle East. And when I say today known as the Middle East is it's not a real geographical term, meaning there is no Middle East. If you look at geography, you look at it from a geographical standpoint. The Middle East is a political term. The so-called white man, who is Edomite according to the Bible, or the devil that the Bible speaks of, he decided to carve up this land. And in carving up this land, he quite literally has manufactured all of the problems that you see in the Middle East. The Middle East, like most of the dark-skinned peoples, don't deal in solely in cash. You get my point? Like, these are all soulless. So they hate each other and they'll fight each other. But if they can get together to keep out an opponent, specifically push out us, or compete against someone else, and they'll be willing to do that in the name of capitalism or communism, or whatever religion or God or economic system that they choose to come under, right? They are blessed with the sword, and the sword and warfare is more than just guns and bullets. It's economic as well. You hear them screaming about what? They're not screaming about missiles. They're screaming about oil prices, right? The amount of loss, the amount of revenue they're losing by Ras Laffan being blown up. Ras Laffan, largest refinery, right, on the planet. Large portion of the world's crude oil, which is where you get gasoline, kerosene, which is jet fuel, diesel, etc. Large portion of that comes from that area, and that's what they're upset about. Okay, because Esau is blessed with the sword, and he understands war, sanctions. That is a weapon. You're effectively, if you think about it, you're trying to starve someone, right? Because if let's say, for example, Russia plays along with the sanctions, right? Okay, we no deal in rubles, we deal in American dollars, praise America, or whatever. They go ahead and do that and only do business in dollars. They can't do any business, right? Because they're cut off from that currency. So they have to pay the rules. So the point that I'm making is that Esau, the so-called European, would be blessed with a sword, and part of that is economic, and part of it is geographical. When the white man was in Britain, give me that. He is blessed by the sword. If you can hold what you have, Barzal. Part of his skill in warfare is being able to get you to starve to death. You get my point? And starving you out through economics, through other policies, through the geography itself. When they went to the Middle East after the Ottoman Empire was defeated in World War I, they understood that these people are tribal, right? Which means they don't respect Iraq. Iraq doesn't mean anything to an Iraqi. Somalia doesn't mean anything to a Somali. And you're going to see that in Minnesota in about 10 years. Let this racial, turmoil that's going on up there play out. Where you had, I think it was a mayor or some councilman in Minnesota, Minneapolis, that certain Somalis wouldn't vote for because he was from a different tribe. That's how every other nation and race, or many other nations and races, that's how they think, and that's how they operate. So the white man came to the Middle East. He knew this. He said, whatever, the hell with it. Make Iraq. pit a bunch of families that don't like each other. You know, the Al Muhammad Al Amadami family killed the Camel of Al Bukra family. I don't know, 1230. I don't know what these people are fighting over, but it's that long, and the blood feuds that, you know, that fresh and that tense. White man said, "All right, you guys are Iraqis," and it hasn't worked since then. And they knew it wasn't going to work, but he is blessed with the sword. Give me that scripture.
Genesis chapter 27, verse 40. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother.
See that? So for him to be able to compete, for America to keep hegemony, which means world power, they have to go to war. And that war is in Iran. That war is with Israel and Iran and whatever they're doing in Lebanon right now as we speak. And that war is through sanctions, right? Because you're effectively cutting someone off. You're cutting a man off from his food. Isn't there? That's the scripture about that in Deuteronomy, where it says you shall not take a man's upper millstone. There's that law. I'm sure everyone's familiar with that upper millstone. That's his livelihood. A millstone is something that you would use, to crush grain. So this brother crushes barley or wheat. He makes flour. He makes bread. He sells the bread or he sells the flour, and that's his livelihood. You're not supposed to take a man's livelihood away, and he does that in war. It's an act of war. And so that's part of it right there with the sanctions. And if I could, real quick, the sanctions are going to play against him, because what's going to happen is they're going to be forced, they being India, Iran, Russia, are going to be forced to not use the dollar anymore because they can't use it. You want to go buy, you can't buy a Big Mac in Russia without Uncle Sam popping out of the weeds and say, no can do, no buy, Vladimir. So Vladimir's in hell. So what's he going to do? He's going to use the ruble. They're going to use the yuan. They're going to use the rial, dinar, whatever the Iran's currency. I think it's the Iran rial. I may be butchering that, or the dinar, one of the two. I think Iraq is dinar. All right, read what you have, Barzal. Did you finish blessed with the sword?
Come on, sir.
Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that shall break his yoke from thy neck.
Thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. When they would be in charge, we would break the yoke that he has on us from off his neck. Okay? The point of that scripture, the point I was making, though, is that he's blessed with the sword. And sanctions are a part of it. But now what you're seeing now is, for those of you that play chess, I know, me and I play chess. We had a good game, good match in, the New York Cookout I bought. You know, when you are a bit inexperienced, or when you're in over your head and you make a bad move, and you know you made a bad move, but you made a bad move. Now, every move you're making next is to correct that bad move you made. But then the next move, you miss something. And the next move, you miss something. And the next move, you miss something. Until finally, you're checkmated. You're beaten horribly, which is what's going to happen to the Edomite, the so-called white man here in this earth. Every move he's making now, sanctions, all of it's going to work against him. This little skirmish in Iran, and I'm getting reports that they're going to have to end it soon. Not for the reason that everyone's mentioning. The reason they want to end it soon, the reason you see Donald Trump talking, is because if they keep this up, there'll be no more chips. All this, the smartphone, this computer, AI is not going to happen. Why is that the case? Because though Iran and that area of the Middle East is well known for oil, it's also known for something else, helium. You're not making not one chip without helium. I could get into it, but you have the device. Helium is a gas that etches it, eats it away, and so it makes the chip useful. You get my point? You etch it, like you carve into a stone. It's literally what they're doing. They're using gas to carve into it to make these super, these geek AI chips, these nerdy AI chips that everyone's talking about on the news. You don't have helium, none of that's happening. Guess where you get most of the helium from? Iran. And so they're talking right now. Musk's probably, cursing Donald Trump out. You got whoever's left from the Epstein crew begging for them to stop. Because one thing we know about Esau, so-called white man, he loves and operates based on his money. And a lot of people's money is being messed up right now. And so, look for this skirmish to end pretty soon. But just like when a woman's giving birth, as you can see, it picks up. every way in June they blew something up. Now we have this, so it's just literally like a month-long war. The next thing that's going to happen is going to be bigger than that. All right, Barzal, take me back to that verse on is Genesis 12:7, with Abraham being given the land.
Khan. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 12, verse 7. And the Lord appeared to Abraham and said, unto thy seed will I give this land.
Unto thy seed. What's that? Ayatollah is not the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The small hat, Netanyahu, the maniac, he was not given that land. Who did I miss? Oh, F-350 driving, Jesus loving Donald Trump and his folk, MAGA folk, were not given that land. It was given to the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Unto thy seed. Not all seeds. There's other seeds in the planet, right? We're in the so-called, this is taking place in the so-called Middle East. You have people you had people all around that land, and to this day you have people all over the planet Earth. It didn't say seeds plural, seed. Specific line you must come through to be, privileged to that land, and nobody else is privileged to that land, and that's why they've been fighting over it ever since the Ottomans fell. You had the Ottoman Turks, who were another group of Edomites, essentially, with some Ishmaelites sprinkled in, that had run that area for many, many thousands of years after the Romans sacked it, all right, that land, and pillaged it and divided it up amongst their, brothers and cousins, etc. The Ottomans ran it for a while, relatively peaceful, and then in World War I, the Ottomans basically ran out of money, which is what you're going to find in a lot of these wars. Mostly stopped, and they're mostly started, at least man thinks he's starting and stopping it because of money, but of course the Lord has his hand in it now. In any event, when the Ottomans came out, you had Esau from the land of Great Britain come in, and they carved it up. The French carved it up. The Dutch a little bit. You had the Germans with Hitler trying to get in there after World War I. They carved it up. And give me that scripture, Barzal, where it says, "Mar not the land." The lines of the people there, the Ishmaelites that were there, the Foothites, etc. I mean, the so-called North Africans. You have African tribes there. You have Arab tribes, etc. People that were there had specific lines, and it was based on tribes and families, not how many of us can save 15% on our car insurance, which is what America bases its rules and laws on. How much money a few of them can get off of the backs of everyone else. Does everyone get that? The Middle East and a lot of these other lands run based on tribes. So it's a family has this land, and that's that. We don't deal with anybody else. We'll do trade. We're not marrying certain groups or families, etc. Much like here in the Bible. Much like here in the Bible is how they were running things in the Middle East, and the devil had sought to change that. All right? Give me that scripture, Barzal. It says, "Mar not the ancient landmark."
Mar not the ancient.
Mm-hmm. We have questions, Ibad?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's have the questions.
Yes, sir. The first question is,
It's Proverbs 22 and 28. Barzal, go ahead.
yes, sir. It's from 97. If the Most High knew it was written for Christ to die on the cross, why did Christ say, "Forgive them, that they know not what they do"? Why was the Most High angry watching him being sacrificed?
Well, it doesn't say, I don't know if the Most High was angry, but the reason he said that is because he's Christ, right? It's because he was kind, because he was merciful. Well, let's get a precept on that. Emmanuel, let's get that precept. I think that's in Isaiah. And then let's just get the verse that he's asking about. But to sum it up, he is asking the Lord to forgive these people because what they had done or had helped the Romans to do really was terrible. This was a man that was without sin. None of us in here, none of us alive or dead can say that. But this was a man that from the time he was born, God did what he had to do and was of the lineage of David. So he was set to rule, and he did the things that were necessary to rule, which again, to my point, is what Netanyahu, whatever other turban-wearing idiot they're going to put in Iran, and whatever F-350 truck driving president or liberal rainbow flags, tofu brownie president they're going to put here in the United States. That's what they don't understand is that, yes, you have to be chosen, right? In America's case, they believe that if you vote, if you win the vote, then that you're the person that, God chose essentially, and the person that should run the free world. Yeah, he was chosen. Christ was chosen, but he also did the right thing, right? Which was he forgave those people for what they had done. That's what he's saying. And the Lord in that verse isn't saying that he's angry. He's not saying he's angry with anyone. It's more so Christ proving his character, another clue into his character. That was the point. That was the point of recording him saying that. And it is that he wants the people that effectively helped get him killed to be forgiven. And there's a precept for that where it says he is our mediator. That might help with that as well. Barzal, can someone grab that for me? He is our mediator. Hold up where we have Proverbs. We have Proverbs 22 and 28. Let's get to use our mediator. He's saying that because that's effectively what he is. When you have a deal being done, or when someone goes to court, there's a defense attorney and there's a prosecutor. The prosecutor's job is to get you convicted. When you're, when there's a trial, the prosecutor's trying to get you put in jail. And that's what Satan is. Satan is effectively, you can think of Satan as a prosecutor, right? So he's going to get you or guide you to do things that are against the law. That's why I took it to court as an example. And then when you break those things, he's going to be waving around in court. Statute number 856 says you can't do this. Look what I got him on angelic AI. Look at that. Got you on the Angels AI, screen, Jumbotron in heaven. I'm joking, of course, but you get the point. Go ahead.
It was just a precept came to mind. The question God said, if God was mad, remember in Isaiah 53, it said it pleased the Lord to bruise him.
Yeah, that's a good precept as well.
God.
That was it pleased him because it's what he said was going to be done. Go ahead.
Got
Barzal,
your precept, sir.
Please.
This book of 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 5. For there is one God and one mediator between God and men. And Slakia, that man, Christ Jesus.
So that was his role, and he was exemplifying it there and asking that the Lord forgive these people because they didn't know what they do, and they didn't know what they do, and they don't know what they do. They were interested in keeping the status quo, and that's what you're going to find with most people today. They don't necessarily have an ideology one way or another, like for us or for God or against God. They're interested in doing what everyone else is doing, and they're interested in doing what is common in the world today. And what's common in the world today is going to Epstein's Island, robbing, stealing, bombing, and killing innocent people, and dealing drugs and using drugs. That's what's common in this day, and doing whatever it is that you want to do. All right, that's the problem then, as it is to this day. Take me to Proverbs 22 and 8. Let's read that real quick.
I have Proverbs
22 and 28. Sorry.
Sir. There's a book of Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 28. Remove not the ancient landmark.
Remove what?
Remove not the ancient landmark.
You're not supposed to take land that's been divided up a specific way since ancient times, literally since Ishmael. He had 12 princes. That's what the Lord told, it was a Hagar, that he'd have 12 princes, and those 12 princes rule that land. Abu Dhabi, you can go Google it and take a look at them right now. They're princes in those stupid checkered hats. I saw one, they had a wedding. They had a briefcase with gold bars this big. Got to be at least 40 grand. I'm lowballing. At the time they were giving it out, maybe it was like 80 to 100 grand. This fool's got a briefcase handing out iPhone. This is 16, I think. iPhone 16 size gold bars at a wedding. Here you go. Would you like that? They got that kind of money. 12 princes. That's what the Lord said to Hagar through his angel. Then they became 12 princes, and they ruled that land. And then years later, some tea-drinking alcoholic came and said, "Oh, no, we'll not have this. I hereby declare this Iraq." And it's been a hellscape ever since. But it was this, like many problems on the earth, was just their doing, is because he's a child, can't think past his nose. So if he sees money, He's going to want to get the money now. And even he, he wants to destroy us, but he doesn't even care about his own kids. Like, you got to think, what's the end game? Because, okay, you're bombing them now, right? Getting rid of nuclear enrichment, which that's nuclear enrichment. You can buy whatever you want if you have enough money. Nobody's ever said this, but you can just look on a map. Pakistan's not that far, and they've made a nuke. I think America lost nukes. There's like 6 nukes that are just missing. I don't know. Somebody took a lunch break. Somebody took a McDonald's break, came back, and there were 6 nukes. I don't know if these were the giant ones. They don't say briefcase nukes. We don't know. There's 6 nuclear weapons that are unaccounted for in the U.S. alone. Okay? So to think that we're just going to keep killing them to stop them from making a nuclear weapon is really silly, right? And it's childlike. Because first of all, why don't they just buy one? As I was thinking, why don't you just buy one and ship it? Firstly, you got enough mountains. You're not going to be able to. You get in those mountains, you can't find it, and that's the problem they're having now. They're having a hard time finding where these missiles are being fired from because that region is very mountainous. And he's talking about sending ground troops. He sends if the United States sends ground troops in Iran, saying it right now, to be an absolute disaster for them, and then they would truly prove themselves to be stupid, which they are. You mean that scripture where it says that the wisdom shall depart from Teman, or where are thy wise men, O Teman? Like I said before, what you're seeing now is he's in a jam up. He's made a blunder, okay, and that blunder was continuing to escalate in attacking, random groups, people, nations, etc. in the Middle East. And the problem with being the biggest bully is when you go to step to somebody, you got to bully him, right? Like let's say there's a bully at school. He's at the playground. If somebody sees him push someone or hit someone, and then he goes to someone else later, and that person isn't scared, go ahead and take a seat. Go ahead and take a seat. If that person isn't scared by that bully, the bully now has to immediately escalate. So the United States now, whatever they do now in Iran, has got to be a step up from whatever the hell this is. So now he's definitely got to bomb energy infrastructure. Everything they were saying they aren't going to do, guess what? Next they have to do, which is why I was saying it's going to build up and build up and build up. All right, give me the scripture.
Yes, sir. This is the book of Obadiah, chapter 1 and verse 8.
Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord?
Kaparian, help him out, please. Go ahead.
Even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau.
Read it again.
Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom?
Sit down. Read it again.
Even destroy the wise men out of Edom.
The Lord's destroyed the wise men out of Edom. You had wise men. What was that guy's name? Kissinger, Dick Cheney. You had Edomites during the Vietnam War, and that crew of Edomites during the Cold War. Those fools were wise, man. And the fools over in Russia, they were this close to blowing up the entire Northern Hemisphere. And you had, I think it was one captain that was manning a submarine or a Russian battleship in Cuba. He just decided not to follow the order. But they told him, fire, destroy. Yeah. And he just didn't do it. Those were wise men. Those men are gone. Rambo, of course, he's a fictitious character. Kissinger, right? Cheney, whoever that general, I forget his name, that was involved in the was it the Gulf War? They're gone. They're gone. And now you've got reality TV show host. You've got a guy, the Secretary of War. I don't know if he's fought his way out of a paper bag, but he's claiming, the posturing like this big tough guy. You got a bunch of Joe Rogan. You got the Joe Rogan podcast crew now running the United States, which is the so-called free world. The wise men have perished from Teman, from Esau rather. And so now they're in a jam up because anywhere they go to try and establish, dominance, they have to go and blow them up. Whereas before, Kissinger and them, it was posture. It was the Cold War. I mean, what? They weren't trying to go to war. This fool, because he's so really essentially feminine, but he's so deeply trying to show his masculinity. him and his crew and the people that are with him are looking to just fight and make war with everybody. That's what it seems like is going on, right? And they're allied with a complete lunatic. Talk about Joseph Stalin, Hitler. I don't know anyone that's living that's as violent as Benjamin Netanyahu. I don't know. I just don't know. You're killing kids like KFC fried chicken for years, and the whole world just essentially sat and watched it. Okay. You got to raise your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's supposed to get arrested for something, right?
Well, some nations, I think, went to the UN and said he should be arrested for war crimes. And so he was supposed to be brought in for war crimes. But the United Nations is just, United Nations is like the you have a teacher and you have like, you've been in school, you have a teacher, you have someone that's like the teacher's aide. No one will listen to that person. That's the UN. So he's supposed to be brought in, for war crimes, who knows? Probably not. You know what I mean? Same thing with Putin. But that's the fact of the matter. You know what I mean? So where were we at? Any more questions? Let's get the questions.
Yes, sir. The next question is from Ilaza Bun Yahawada. Shalom, Lord in Christ, sir. Can you tell me what prophecies have already passed that leads us to World War III?
Get me 2 woes have passed. Is that Revelation 18? Bear with me 1 second. Revelation 11 and 14. Ezekiel 38. What else? Ezekiel. Let's go to, let's do those 2 first. Revelation 11, 14, and then Ezekiel 38. Take me to Revelation 11 and 14 first.
This is the book of Revelation.
Chapter 11 and verse 14. The second woe is past.
The what?
The second woe is past.
So to the brother's question, it was Ilazar or Ilatazar?
Ilaza.
So I'm not pronouncing your name incorrectly. Ilazar, to your question, the first precept, and I think the main one, most important one, is that there would be 3 world wars. All right, 3 woes. Woe is destruction or great destruction. You have World War I, which fought with the allies, and I think they were called Allied and Axis. World War II, similar opponents and protagonists and antagonists. World War III is going to be no different. World War I was started over the things it was started with. Many things you're taught in school that some guy went from Serbia to France and shot someone. It's of course not why it started. It started over debt. It started over money. Just why everything starts in Esau's world. Germany owed a lot of war debt or indemnity, and you had a lot of people come together in the United States and Europe to effectively make good on their debts. So if you go to war with someone and you win, right, you can effectively enslave them and force them to pay war debts. And France didn't pay its war debt from World War II till 2009 to the United States. So they were paying the United States from 45, whenever it ended, in Europe, whenever the European theater ended, from 1945 or so until 2009, they had to pay war debts to the United States. I think the specific account was J.P. Morgan. You had the Morgans, the Chases, etc., that had basically profited from these world wars. That's the first clue. 2 woes have passed, and read the rest of that verse.
And behold, the third woe cometh quickly.
And behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So the arrival of the third world war, the fervor about it, and the people mentioning it being in the news is a prophecy to Ilazar's question. And then the next precept was Ezekiel 37.
We want 37?
No, Ezekiel 38.
Oh, 38 and 37?
38. Let's just start from, we start from 1.
Yes, sir. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38 and verse 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, verse 2, Son of man, set my face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal.
Meshech and Tubal, so Russia. Talking about the Soviet Union, Russia and its allies, so you can understand today because the Soviet Union isn't around. So Russia, the stands, North Korea, etc. Read on.
And prophesy against him. Verse 3. And say, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal.
God's against him, so God wants to destroy him, much like he wants to destroy Babylon. Continue.
Verse 4. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws.
I will turn you back. Again, as you well know, another part of the Cold War was that Russia didn't want to fight, and America didn't want to fight, which is why it was a Cold War. It was fought by proxies, on both sides. And in some cases, you had the U.S. going to Vietnam, you had Russia going to Afghanistan around that time. In 69, in the 70s, they left Vietnam. Russia goes into Afghanistan like 5-10 years after, maybe. Okay. So neither of them wanted to fight each other directly in a total war like World War II was. All right. But the Lord said he would turn them back. And so Russia being turned back now against NATO and soon against America is another prophecy to Al-Azhar's question. Continue.
And I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields.
Great company. You have all kinds of groups. Iran and its proxy, right? Its allies. So you got fools from Yemen hurling stuff over at Dubai and the UAE. You've got Iran involved in the mix. You've got Hezbollah. You've got Hamas, whatever that ever was. The point is you have different Iranian-backed groups over there. Okay, and the so-called white man has used Sunni versus Shia argument and fight to pit them against each other. But you got to remember, these are Arabs, so yeah, they'll fight along with your war, and then when they deem it necessary, they're going to turn around and use your weapons against you. That's what happened in Afghanistan. That's what's going to happen here. All these these groups that they're whoever. Here's the thing: whoever's going into Iran and is telling everybody where all these people are. Have you noticed that? Nobody goes into Israel and says, "Hey, he's eating matzo ball soup. He's over in let's be honest, he's in Brooklyn. He's by the Barclays Center eating matzo ball soup. Most of the Jewish population is in Brooklyn. He's in Brooklyn, it's always one side because they're using both. Amalek is going in there. You got their spies through the Mossad, and you've got Muslims that are going in there pretending to be Shia, but you've got Sunnis, I think, that are in there helping them find where all these people are. Because they've always got the drop on them, but it's never the other way around. That's because they're using different Muslims that are in Iran and outside of Iran. Because Iran, again, Iranians don't. Iran's not a real thing outside of the West. Some of them call it Persia, which is why they're fighting internally too. Some of them call it Persia, which is basically what it was before the revolution, 1969. You've got the Iranian Islamic Republic right now, which has been ruling since 79 through the Ayatollah, which is the supreme, leader of that sect of Islam. All right. So you have many different things happening, but all of these people would be at war. All right. That's another prophecy on it. You can go to Wars and Rumors of Wars, Al-Azhar, and Matthew 24, I believe the chapter is. So every week, it seems like every other week, you're hearing about some two countries fighting each other. Thailand and Cambodia was happening over the summer. You've got Pakistan and India every couple months or so. So wars popping up and then dying down. Wars and rumors of wars. Was there a battle here? We don't know. There have been reports of fighting in Sudan, reports of continued fighting in Libya, reports of continued fighting in Syria. You can listen to that. You can hear that phrase every time you turn on CNN. So that's it on that. Next question.
Yes, sir.
This is from Darash I.S.U.P.K. So how can I explain demons also give blessings?
Demons also give blessings. I wouldn't say they give blessings, but they tempt you. That's that's probably the proper way to address it. That's how I would address it. You can go to Luke, the 4th chapter. That's an obvious one. Luke, the 4th chapter. So in Luke, the 4th chapter, in and around that time, Christ is fasting and he's in the mountains. He had taken time to basically not seclude himself in the way that we see it from the movies where he's got beard and hair everywhere. He just decided to think about it like a vacation. Okay. He decided to go away from his work that he was doing in Jerusalem proper, and he was away fasting for a time. He was in the mountains. Well, Satan came to him and said, all these nations. And in a moment, he showed him all the nations of the world. You can imagine what he saw. Epstein's Island, Magic City, Iran, the Kremlin, the White House, Colombia, the Medellin cartel, what are these other cartels? Whatever one El Mencho was over, they killed him a couple weeks ago. Mexican authorities. The Sinaloa cartel, the CGNJ, the cartel, that cartel, the International Associates of Gold Mining, Fort Knox, showed them all of that in an instant. Credit Suisse, HSBC, JP Morgan, showed them all that. Say, man, you do one act of obeisance to me, just one, ain't that big a deal, man. We all buddies. You know? Are you tired? You're a little hungry? Turn that stone into bread, man. Do something for me. Throw yourself off this hill. I'm paraphrasing. Do one act of obeisance to me, I'll give you all this stuff, man. Epstein's Island, man, it's yours. Look, I got the keys right here. The boat's right over there. We're gonna take you to Epstein's Island, man. We're gonna have some fun, dude. That's what Satan was saying to him in the 0 BC or minus 1 BC version, not BC AD version, 20 AD version or 30, whenever this happened, right? And we're going to read about what Christ did. Go ahead to Luke, the 4th chapter.
Yes, sir.
It's not going to be called Trump's Tower. It's going to be called Christ's Tower. That's what it's going to be called, man. I got an excellent plan. I'm going to get in touch with some developers, dude. You got this in the bag, man. All you got to do, you got to jump off a cliff. That's what happened. We're going to read about Christ, what he said. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. This is the book. Yes, sir. This is the book of Luke, chapter 4 and verse 4, or verse 5. And the devil, taking him up into a high mountain, shewed unto him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time.
All the kingdoms, banks, banquets, steakhouses, gold vaults, countries, islands, vacation spots, whatever, you name it. Fields, land, streams, and creeks. He showed the King of Kings. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And the devil said unto him, all this power will I give thee.
All this power will I give thee. And they have power. They have power, man. They can write a page and you're not buying a cheeseburger with American dollars off of a couple sentences. Okay? All this power, go ahead.
And the glory of them.
And the glory of them. All their glory, all their pomp and circumstance, all of their fame that America has, the fame that Iran has, fame that the so-called state of Israel has. All of that I'll give to you, man. Go ahead.
For that is delivered unto me.
For that's delivered unto me. So Satan has the ability to give what it is that you're looking for. But the difference between Satan and the Lord is the Lord gives it to you and he gave it to you because you earned it. Satan gives it to you to get you to lose it, to get you to not have it. It's an illusion. So he could have went and did the thing and get all the kingdoms, but he would have eventually lost it. Why would he have eventually lost it? Because his kingdom would have been like every other kingdom. Because every other kingdom, they essentially took that deal in some form or fashion. They all celebrate Christmas. There was some YouTube video, maybe it was like a short or something. I don't really watch YouTube shorts or reels, but there's like a reel that, you go on YouTube now, it just pops up, it just assaults you. So I open my phone, go to YouTube, and this reel pops up, and maybe it's like the opening ceremony to Ramadan in Iran, and it shows the Ayatollah saying a few words, and they got tambourines, and they're singing. I kid you not, man. I said, what? Oh, so this is just Christianity. What are we fighting? So it's not about the religion. It's the money. It's really what they're upset about. Subjugation of women, this, that. Women in a lot of those countries, they have abortions and all that other stuff like they do here. It's not about any of that. What it is, it's about the money, oil, okay, and the dollars that come from it. But they had an opening ceremony in Ramadan. Man, they got tambourines. They were choir boys. They literally had choir boys, man, in the dresses. They had the split dresses. They had flip-flops inside. They had no chairs. They're all on the Aladdin carpets. They're all on the rugs, ready to fly away. And the boys were singing in a row. They had top row, bottom row, singing. So, man, they've all gone with Satan, essentially, is the point I'm making. It's all the same. Christianity, Islam, worshiping heads of lettuce, Buddhism, Hinduism, it's all the same. It's all for Satan. That's what it is in its root, in essence. And so they all took this deal. So they've got Iran and Tehran, Bank of America, J.P. Morgan. They've got Geneva and Dubai and this, that, and the third. Ras Laffan, like I said, oil refineries, and all power on the earth to make money and war. And he could have taken that deal. But let's find out what he did. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. For that is delivered unto me, and to whomsoever I will, I give it.
So whatever's delivered unto him, he can deliver it to anyone else. But the thing is that his kingdom, Christ's kingdom, essentially would have fallen if he would have taken that deal, because the Lord translates kingdoms based on the actions of the people. That's in the Apocrypha. I'm very loosely paraphrasing, but the Lord giveth one kingdom to another through injuries and unjust dealing. You can Google that verbatim in the Apocrypha, and believe it's Ecclesiasticus or it's the Wisdom of Solomon, that there's specific reasons why kingdoms are won and lost. The reasons that you lose a kingdom is because of how you act. So if he would have taken that deal for Satan, he'd have been doing other stuff. Why would it have ended there? You get my point? That's the other thing. You'll be tempted with something. You think, it's just this. That's it. You'll do that thing, and then before you know it, you'll be somewhere in Skid Row, figuratively or literally, depending on what your vice was in the past. But that's how that works. Like, that deal would have never ended and would have ended up with him losing it. Anything that you're given by Satan is not actually yours. Okay, but it's all going to be lost. And while you have it, you can't truly enjoy it. Like many athletes, in the sense that they have money, fame, and notoriety, but they have a vice, like Jordan with his gambling and whatever else, whatever he's smoking or snorting to get his eyes to look like he's got jaundice that you can only catch deep in the Congo. And a lot of other famous actors and athletes that have given their life away to drugs, etc. All right, excessive gambling, etc. They have it, but they can't enjoy it, and that's what would have happened to the King of Kings as well. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Verse 7. If thou therefore will worship me, all shall be thine.
If thou will worship me, all shall be thine. And that's what our enemy has done, and that's why he's so powerful. So they got this bank and that bank. It's because they are willing to do evil, basically. And I think that Netanyahu got up in his speech and said something like that. Like, if we basically don't shed blood, then evil's going to win, because evil wins. That's what he said. This guy's Jewish. What are we talking about? Evil wins. Doesn't, according to the Torah, evil doesn't win. The Lord got Israel, who you think are your people, out of Egypt. But who knows how he actually thinks it was done? Maybe they made maybe they made a record company and the Egyptians were rapping, so they got out that way. Who knows? They made movies, They rubbed some shekels together and tricked everybody. I don't know what they think actually happened, but the Jews didn't get out of Egypt through bombing the Egyptians. I don't know where that happened. They didn't get to greater Israel by massacring the Egyptian armies. The Lord did it. And what we did was serve him. He had a specific order for that night, right? The blood of the lamb on the post. Everybody kills a lamb. Everybody eats a lamb. If you've got too much lamb, you give it to someone that doesn't have enough. You don't have enough, get with somebody or a family that has too much, or a big family, what have you. And those that did that survived. I made it out of Egypt. I didn't read any Iron Dome. I didn't read any damn precision bombs. I didn't read any drones. I didn't read any ground troops. I didn't read any digging around. Remember, they were digging around in tunnels for like 5 months. I didn't read any digging around in tunnels. Read any of that. So what makes this bastard think that he's going to get freedom by massacring people? It's nowhere in the Bible. Nowhere. And when war is had, it's had by the Lord. You get my point? Not through some cabal or some convention before you had to shed more blood. You know, it's going to be by the Lord's hand, by Christ's hand, because he was able to overcome the thing that Benjamin Netanyahu himself, with his matzah balls and matzah crackers and Pesach and bar mitzvahs, with all that, he's not even able to do. Trump's not able to do. The Ayatollah, Xi Jinping, that little guy over in North Korea with the nuke, none of them can do it. Read on.
Yes, sir. Come. Verse 8. And Jesus answered and said unto him, Get thee behind me, Satan.
Get thee behind me, Satan. That's what he said. Man, forget that. Forget that. Get thee behind me. He had a mission to complete, and he sought about completing that mission. And that's someone that should be in charge, man. That's someone that should be in charge that's not thrown off by some files. You got this guy running scared. You've got whole congressional meetings over some files, the Epstein files. Well, if you were doing what the Lord said, you wouldn't have any issue either way with it being released. What are you going to catch me doing? Eating some lamb, maybe some chicken, right? Drinking wine, going to camp, going to work. I'm not with little girls and prostitutes and all that. So who cares about some files? Show me the files, not my bank account. Okay. If you want to watch, stalk me or whatever, then go ahead and do it. I have nothing to hide. But apparently for many people and the people that are in charge of the free world, you can't say the same, But again, to the question, yeah, that's what the Lord, that's what Satan rather has the power to do, to give you something that through the knowledge of the truth, that is just going to be taken away anyway. And something that you can't even really enjoy while you have it, because you're going to be doing other things for Satan that are not just, one act of obeisance, quote unquote. Next question.
Yes, sir. This is from Leonard Jr. Slaki Adawan. If I may do, we take leaven out of houses before we leave for Houston or after we come back. Last year, I put everything in the car, but we are driving the car to Houston.
Yes, get everything out of your house, out of your dwelling. Can you get this no leaven in your dwelling? So the spirit is that if a priest were to come, the spirit of the law, the Passover is if a priest were to come knocking your house, knocking your door. Lowest priest, and comes in, checks the house out. He should in no way be able to even think that there's some, Ritz crackers being made in here. Okay? There's some cake being baked or croissants being had in the morning. Should in no way be able to think that. So how would that be possible? Well, you have no leavening agents in your house. And I put together a list, and the list was on the website. The list will be, I'll distribute that list on my Facebook page. So I'll have it shared. It'll be shared broadly on Facebook. You can, again, keep asking questions that you have in future classes. It's a good question that it's a brother, right?
Yes, sir.
What's the name?
Leonard Jr.
The question that Leonard asked, Leonard Jr. had asked, those of you that this is your first Passover, you should ask those questions. You should ask a lot of questions because things will come up that you won't know, or you won't know that you didn't know to ask. All right. So to the brother's question, you get all the leaven out of your dwelling. Leaven is leavening agents, so yeast, baking soda, and baking powder. You have some chemical ones, but you know that it's a leavening agent. It's used for making bread. The main ones are yeast, baking soda, baking powder. Alcohol is permitted to be had in your house, beer, wine, etc. How do you know that? Because they drank wine during the what they call in the world the Last Supper, but the Passover that Christ celebrated in the upper room. So those products are fine. Yeast, baking soda, baking powder, the main ones, and you've got some of the other chemical ones that escape me right now, but it's on that list that I put together and we had shared on our website. We had shared through Facebook, so it'll be shared again. But again, to this point, yeah, out of your dwelling. So let's say you've got a shed you got a house, so you got like a ranch style home in the South, or so you're in Texas or something, or anywhere. And you got a shed that's not connected to the house. That stuff can be put in the shed. If you're in an apartment, yeah, it would be put in your car. That's fine. If you're driving, put it in somebody else's car. If you must have that flour to your baker, to your profession, or you are tight on funds or what have you, you get the food once a month and that's it. Then figure out if you can put it in someone else's car, store it in someone else's house that's trustworthy. But if you're driving the car there, I wouldn't necessarily put it in the car. But it's got to be out of your house, out of your dwelling, anywhere that you would live, anywhere where you live. So your bathroom, your house. If it's your apartment, let's say you share an apartment with someone that's not in the truth, or you're in college, or you're on, you're at some school where you live on a campus, you're at work, you're an oil pipeline engineer, what have you, you're a miner, all right? You're in a situation where you've shared living quarters, just keep it out of your living area, all right? So if you have your own room, you get it out of your room. Whatever everybody else is doing with their stuff is up to them. Don't stress yourself out over it, and there's no need to get on them about it. You can tell them about why you're doing it. You can tell them in small talk and conversations. You can explain to them what's coming up, because it is a holiday, But if they want to do it or not, that's on them. But your living area. So in that situation where you're in a college dorm, etc., you keep it out of your living area. So if you're in a room, it's out of your room. If you have, if it's a shared kitchen, just the stuff where your stuff, no limit. All right. If you're in a house with a wife or vice versa, and they must keep bread in the house, or they're not in the truth, you just keep it. You just make sure that you do your due diligence on it and get the stuff that's yours out of the house. All right. The leavening agents that are yours out of the house. Yes.
What was during that time? What was the significance of taking the leavening agents out during the Passover? Nobody ever explained that to me.
Yeah, so at the time, and they'll break it down. I guess we have time tonight. Can you give me that scripture, Barzal, where so they had to make haste? That's in Exodus. Essentially, what was happening was we were making, the lamb was being prepared, and we were preparing. We had items to make, say, bread, but when it was needed, right? So you take the flour, you take the water, etc., maybe an egg, what have you, when it was being needed, right, to press into whatever they were going to use to make bread. When they were doing that, they didn't have enough time to let the bread rise. So what happens is when you need bread, when you add, say, a leavening agent, you let it sit, it'll rise, take the shape of the container that it's in, because the yeast and or the leavening agent exudes or excretes gas, carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is what comes out of your mouth when you breathe. What comes out of car exhaust. It's what comes out of yeast when they eat sugar. So you eat the sugar, break the sugar down, let out carbon dioxide, and that yeast starts to expand. Okay, and that bread starts to expand. Well, there was no time for this to happen. So the bread was flat. And they took that bread, they cooked it, fried it, what have you, and they ate it. And because they ate it on that day, we eat it forevermore on or during the Passover. Why do we do that? To remember who and what we are. To consider, to have self-reflection. There's a lot of that going on in social media, etc., where people are looking for self-help, introspection, self-reflection. There's no deeper way to do that than to connect with who you are at your core, and who we are since ancient times, since time immemorial, were and are the chosen people of God. And so when we, as Solomon said, bethink ourselves, remember who we are, and consider ourselves as Israelites, even that one small thing is better than what we think we are now. I mean, running amok in school and in the streets, and we're the last hired and first fired. We're probably the most incarcerated group of people and race on the planet Earth. Imagine us thinking and knowing and acting like an Israelite, even though we are the Israelites. Consider the so-called Jewish man who acts like an Israelite. He controls the planet Earth. And from a small country can command effectively a world war or instigate it or be used to instigate it. That's through impersonating what it is that we have the ability to do Saturday, April 4th 2026 in Houston, Texas. Imagine if we did it, man. Imagine if we became or even began to act like who we were. Imagine how we would carry ourselves, how we would think of ourselves. We don't care about ourselves. Smoking weed, right? Unaliving each other, dealing drugs, etc. We don't care about ourselves or our health, our safety, our freedom, none of that. Imagine if we thought of ourselves as something greater. That in and of itself is, something that everyone should be willing to stake their career on changing the lives, hearts and minds of the people that we teach and that we serve. All right. So do we answer the question I bought?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
How much time do we have as well, I bought?
Probably like 5 minutes.
Oh, I'll go to 8:55. All right. 5 minutes. Go ahead, Barzal. Yeah, go ahead.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 12, and verse 11. And thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover.
We ate it in the point I was trying to make earlier is that we ate in haste is because we were in haste. The Egyptian army was chasing us because every firstborn of everything in Egypt had passed, and so they were ready to get rid of us, much like they've been trying to do here in America. So they were looking to get rid of us, and so because of that, we didn't have time to make Krispy Kreme donuts. You understand? We had to put the flour together and get out of Dodge, literally. All right, and so that's why I was unleavened. And that's why we eat the unleavened bread today. No problem. No sweat. I bought any more questions?
That's basically it, sir.
All right, so what we got? 8:51. You want to end it? Okay. All right. And with that, for Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, we have the Passover. I'll make the announcement before the guard officer Barzal does. We have the Passover Saturday, April 4th. Saturday, April 4th, at sundown, 2026 in Houston, Texas, rather, the BH Ranch. I hope you've made plans, and I hope you bought your plane ticket, because otherwise you might have to mortgage the house. You might have to mortgage the apartment you're renting. Okay, some you don't even have. Put it up. Sublease your bathroom or something. Sublease a cupboard to get money for plane tickets. At this point, I haven't checked it, but I imagine it's pretty high because of the price of oil. It may go down because the oil price has gone down, but nonetheless. Saturday, April 4th, 2026, Houston, Texas. The BH Ranch, to be specific, is the Lord's Passover. All right, get with your camp leader. Go to www.ISUPK.com. Our website should still be up for information. You can check us out on all social medias, DM the pages, what have you, for any help that you might need. With that, I pass the class over to Priest Officer Barzal Rakab.
Shalom, Israel. It's that time again. The I.S.U.P.K. under Commanding General YAHANNA presents the Lord's 57th Annual Passover. That's right, the Lord's 57th Annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. All Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans are commanded to observe the Lord's Passover. This will be the biggest Passover to date. You do not want to miss this. Fresh lamb, fresh wine, and bitter herbs as commanded by the Most High. Only $200 per person, ages 17 and up. The biggest event of the year. There is only one Passover, and it's under Commanding General YAHANNA. See you there, Israel. Shalom.
Nobody else there to compare to. Train for war, men of war, and warlike apparel. Prefer our leaders, can't get between us. Watch where you stepping.
This is the I.S.U.P.K. security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K. started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General YAHANNA. Rule for new brother and sister. when a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother and sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Ties, which is a commandment. You will find this in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verses 21. Also the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verses 8 to 10. Now, I.S.U.P.K means 10% in Hebrew. 10% of every penny, if any increase the Lord gives you, get to the church. Priest fund, free will offering for the priest, not mandatory. Whatever amount you like to give, I become a holy convocation, like Officer Abun said, is able for it's a Passover. For my occupant, to check the bulletin board in the hallway. If any brother wants to be a trooper in school, start to wear all black, boot, shirt, pants, headband, and scarf. That just the men, I imagine, which means the same. And if Israel, we're gonna get the brothers a courteous salute. And if Israel, I'm out of Shabbat, Majim, Barak. Thumb. To the top with his hands down. Sorry, she's turned. This is Amaji. Since you're Amaji Shabbat, will be to your right hand, clap over your left, which also makes sure that your head covered. The rocks, like just but if Israel, we'll get a sip of the courteous salute. Then if Israel, Amaji Shabbat, Amaji, Barak, Yahweh, Thumb, Shimmy, Al-Shah. You got to the top. Back to